this. As you guys know, today's webinar is about local search and how it is different than SEO. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Callie Bransford. I'm the web team manager here at Build Your Firm, which means that I manage the team that builds and maintains your website. It also means that I help to manage the team that builds all the tools that come with your website, like the newsletter tool and Protected Exchange. I'm also the person at Build Your Firm who sets up all of the local listings for our outsourced marketing clients. I manage our pay-per-click campaigns, and I help to advise on SEO. So it's pretty safe to say that I really enjoy the topic of SEO and local search. And so I'm excited to share some of that with you today and hopefully break it down for you a little bit more so that you can understand what the two are, what we provide to you as a Build Your Firm client if you have one of our websites, which I believe most of you do. And then what things maybe you can be doing on the outside besides just your website to help improve your listings in the search engines, whether you decide to do it in-house or outsource it to somebody else. So a quick look at the agenda for today. We're going to talk about what is SEO and what does Build Your Firm do for you as a website client, what comes with your Build Your Firm website. We'll talk about what is local search. This pertains to what it means to get set up on Google Business and Yelp. And we'll talk about the importance of getting reviews. And then at the end, I'm going to open it up for a Q&A for you guys for your questions. I don't have anything else to do this afternoon until about 2 o'clock, so I am happy to stick around for as long as you guys have questions. Anytime you think of a question throughout my presentation, feel free to pop it into your little chat window. I will save them all for the end, but just pop them in there whenever you think of it, and I'll get to them at the end. So even if I don't answer you, obviously, during the presentation, I will answer your questions at the end. All right, so let's go ahead and get going here. All right, so the first question we're going to get into is, what is SEO? So SEO stands for Search Engine Optimization, and what it really has to do with is how Google and other search engines decide what pages, websites, and posts they are going to show to someone when they search for a specific word or phrase. Search engine ranking pages, which are also sometimes called SERPs, want to show their searchers what they think will be the absolute best sites for specific queries at the top of their search pages. It's their job, and their only job really, to show the very best results to their searchers, and so they take this really seriously. And that's why when you type something into a search engine such as accounting firms in New Haven, the search engine will show you the results to the query that they think are the most relevant and valuable to you as the searcher. And in order to do this, they have a really exhaustive algorithm that takes into account a ton of items when deciding what pages and websites and posts they are going to show to their searchers. And even though, like I mentioned, as a Build Your Firm website client, your website comes with SEO built in, I think it's still good for you to have an understanding of what the basics of SEO means and sort of how it works. So let's dive into a quick little look at some of the factors that play a part in SEO. The first thing that the Google algorithms and all of the search engine algorithms look at is content. This is, I think, probably the aspect of SEO that most people know about. I think when most people think about SEO, they think about keywords. I actually probably can't tell you how many times I've had a client ask me what keywords are live on my website. And while the algorithm does look for keywords that are relevant to what somebody is searching, it's really more than just saying, okay, your website is set up for these 5 keywords. It's more than that nowadays. The search engines are looking for really detailed content that is well written and has keywords and topics that relate to the searcher's query. There's actually an entire art to writing search engine optimized content that contains not just the right keywords, but it contains them in the right manner. And luckily for you, Build Your Firm website clients, you don't need to worry about this because we specialize in writing that SEO content, and all of your websites come with SEO content included for no additional fee. But content and keywords are not the only aspect that play a part in your SEO. The next thing the algorithms are going to look at is the structure of your website. Search engines, at the end of the day, do not want to send their searchers to bad websites. If you remember, I sort of said their one goal is to try to give you the best websites for your searches. So they don't want to send you to bad websites. Even if the website has the information you need, if the website has maybe a design that can't be read on a mobile device, or it's really hard to navigate, or it appears to be spammy, such as having a lot of pop-ups, they're going to be less likely to display this to their searchers. Remember, the search engines want to show the best site to their searchers. So again, this is not something you need to worry about as a Build Your Firm website client, because your website is built on a responsive design. We use HTML encoding best practices, and every page has proper page title tags and meta descriptions. But I think it's nice for you to sort of know that there's more to SEO than just the content. Another thing besides content and structure that the search engines are going to look at is reputation. And there's a couple of variety of things that reputation is weighed on. The search engines might look at the history of the domain. They might look at the local area of the site. They might look at the engagement of users on the site, and they might look at links on the website. They want to see both internal and external links, meaning they want to see links from your website to going to other pages on your website, as well as links from your website going out to other websites. Another thing that they're checking is to make sure, obviously, that this site has never been flagged for piracy. Again, most of this is done for you as a Build Your Firm website client. We're not going to use any keyword stuffing, cloaking, or other things that would impact your SEO, things you don't even need to worry about thinking about what they mean. And we use SEO-friendly naming conventions for your pages, and we employ both internal and external linking on your websites. It's all taken care of. The only piece here that may be a little bit out of our control and starts to be into your control a little bit is your domain. When it comes to your actual domain, there's a couple of things to keep in mind that impact the SEO of your website. The first thing has to do with history. How long has the domain been around for, and has it been operating in the same way for a long time? The next thing they might look at is how the length of the domain, meaning how long until this domain expires. So if you own your own domain, you want to make sure, usually what we suggest to you is you want to make sure that your domain is set up to auto renew, meaning every year it'll just continue to renew, or you at least have it purchased for 3 years. The reason this is important is because if it looks like your domain is going to expire, every month and you're constantly renewing it, search engines might say, this doesn't seem like a website that's going to be around for a long time, and they might give you a little less weight. So one thing you might want to check into is, if you own your domain, is to look into the length of your domain. And I just thought of one thing that I forgot to mention to you guys. If you didn't see it, there is a handout for today's webinar. I was thinking you guys might be feverishly trying to write things down. If you look for the handout option inside of your GoToMeeting, your little widget, you should see a handout option. You may have to click to open it, but there should be one PDF in there. It's going to cover some of the stuff that we're talking about for SEO, as well as some instructions for once we get into local search. So sorry, I forgot to mention that at the beginning. But back to domain, the last thing that they're going to look at is authority. And this has to do with having a high quality website on your domain. Having a Build Your Firm website obviously means you have a high quality website because your website is built with all of those SEO best practices. So you're pretty good to go when it comes to that. So just a little recap, what is SEO? It is that process of increasing visitors to your site by following a set of practices, best practices that help ensure that your site appears high in the results returned by search engines. For the majority of things that impact your SEO, Build Your Firm takes care of them for you with your website. We build your website with SEO content, meta descriptions, and page title tags that are customized to your local area, and employ best practices for building your website to ensure that it is a high quality site. So we take care of all of this stuff for you as far as the SEO goes. It's included with your site no matter what hosting level you're at. If you're sort of wondering, do I have it? You do, no matter what level Build Your Firm website you have. So now that we've covered SEO, let's dive into local search. And let's talk about what it is and then how it's different than SEO and what you might need to be doing to help improve your local search. So local search, sometimes called local SEO, is all about increasing the search visibility for businesses that serve a local community face-to-face. So this includes everything from claiming business listings to managing online reviews to doing local social media engagement and so on. While your website, your Build Your Firm website, is built to make your local search more effective, local search isn't something that your web provider, does as just part of your basic website development. So first, let's just talk a little bit about why do you need local search? I think one of the most common questions I hear when it comes to employing local search is, I don't need local keywords or local listings because I can serve clients all over the nation. And the truth is, with technology, you probably can, and that's really great. But let me briefly explain to you the power of local search and how you can use it to generate more leads for your practice. So let's say that you have a practice in California and you're certified in the state of California to serve anyone in the state. And since you work virtually, you can serve pretty much anyone in the entire state of California. So why not optimize yourself for all of California, right? There's like 40 million people living in the state of California, so that's a lot of potential customers that you could reach. The problem is, if I go to Google and I type in accounting firms for California, I'm going to get back about 4.5 million search results, which means that you're competing with 4.5 million other pages, and it's going to be really hard for you to stand out. Now, let's say that your actual office is in Thousand Oaks, California. This has a population of about 120,000, and when I type Thousand Oaks accounting firms into Google, I'm going to get back about 450,000 results. It's still a big number, but it's way less than trying to reach all of California. It's about 10 times less, right? This is a much more manageable number, and with proper SEO and local optimization, you will really easily be able to rise sort of high in the search engine results for this type of search, as opposed to trying to get through the clutter of all of California, of this 4.5 million results. There's sort of a little thought that if you end up trying to cast your net too wide, you're going to end up kind of like this cat here, right? You're fishing from a pond, but you're not really getting anywhere. There's a famous marketing quote that says, if you try to market to everyone, you'll end up marketing to no one. And this quote really holds true in this case. That's why the power of local search is so important, because it's going to help you break through the clutter so that you can get found. Your local SEO will help to solidify your place in your local community so that you can improve your overall SEO score. Now, I want you to remember that just because you're optimized for one location doesn't mean that you're not going to be able to get business anywhere else. In the example of the Thousand Oaks accounting firm, if this accounting firm has proper SEO and it has good local search setup, it could easily pull in clients from surrounding areas like Camarillo or Ventura if there's not better results for those areas. So just because you're optimized, for one area, you're not totally limiting yourself. And not to mention, we do have a lot of clients that, do work virtually. Like I said, they can serve clients all over the place. And they'll usually just mention on their website that, they can serve clients all over the nation. So when an actual person is on your website, they know that they're still able to work with you, even if they don't live right in your area. So when you combine the power of SEO with the power of local search, that's when you can get even more success getting found online. Your Build Your Firm website comes with built-in SEO, as we already discussed, and they are also set up with what they need to make their local search successful, meaning they have a physical address and location keywords that are used throughout their site on page title tags and meta descriptions. But there's a few things that you need to do on your end to complete your local search, so let's take a look at that. Okay, so what we're going to look at is what I'll call your local search checklist, and this little checklist is also available in that handout that I provided for you. So like I said, you can find the handout in your GoToWebinar, your little widget, you should see an option for handouts, and if you click to open that, you should see the handout in there. But the first thing on our local search checklist is to get set up on Google Business and on Yelp. These are things considered local listings. Google Business and Yelp are considered local listings. And the information that you input onto these websites is going to work alongside your SEO on your website to elevate your presence online. On top of boosting your website placement in search engines, you're also going to be now eligible to show up in this, what is called a local pack. And you've probably seen this if you've ever done any searching on Google, but it's when business listings are shown above organic search results in the search engines, and they show all of the business information with links to websites and phone numbers. You can't get into a local pack if you're not set up on Google Business. We get a lot of questions about that. If information on this local pack is wrong, if you want new information on this local pack, that's all related to your Google Business account and has nothing to do with your actual website. None of this information comes from your website. It all comes from a Google Business account. So to get set up on Google Business, you visit google.com/business, and inside your handout there's about 2 pages towards the end of the handout that I'm giving to you that walks you through step by step how to do this. So don't feel like you need to be writing this down. It's actually a pretty simple process though. You go to this website, you fill out your business's information. Google sends you a postcard to verify that that's really where you are, and it's got a verification code on it. You type that into your Google account and you're good to go. So again, the step-by-step instructions of how to do that is in your handout. So if you're not set up on Google Business now, it'll walk you through how to do that. The process for getting set up on Yelp is pretty much the same. You go to biz.yelp.com and confirm your business info. Again, the final set of instructions on your handout is all about Yelp. It'll walk you through how to set up your business on Yelp. Yelp's a little bit quicker because you just enter your information. In a few days, Yelp will just email you saying, great, we got it, looks good. They may want to call you to confirm your phone number, your business phone number, but besides that, you're good to go after that. So once you're set up on Yelp and Google Business, the next thing that we always suggest to our clients is to consider entering your information into a website called Moz Local. Moz Local is what it's going to do is take that business information that you put into Google Business, and it's going to push the information out to all of the other major data aggregators. This is, when I say data aggregators, what I mean is places like Bing and Foursquare and City Search and Apple Maps and Super Pages. You don't need to do all of those yourself. Moz Local will do them. It's an annual fee, but you just pay one time for 1 year. That's plenty. It's going to push all of your information out to all of those data aggregators. And not only is it going to push out all of the information, but it's going to ensure that your business listing is correct, consistent, and visible across the web. The final thing that you want to do when it comes to your local listings is actively try to get reviews on the 2 local listings that you set up, which is Yelp and Google Business. Having reviews on your local listings is important for a couple of reasons. The first one is statistics show that over 80% of consumers read reviews online before deciding to even call someone to do business. The way that people are finding services is changing, and they're really relying on seeing a review before they even call someone to do business. So taking the time to get some reviews on Google Business and on Yelp is immediately going to give a prospective client the confidence they need to call you. It's just that little extra bit for them to say, this is the accounting firm that I want to call when they're looking for someone to work with. The next reason that reviews are really good is because Google actually gives more weight to your local listing if it has some reviews on it, which just means you're more likely to show up in that local pack that we talked about earlier. So when it comes to reviews, here's some of my sort of simple tips. You want to aim to get 5 to 10 reviews to start. You can go a little bit less on Yelp. Usually I tell my clients go for somewhere between 2 and 3 on Yelp to get started, 5 to 10 to start on Google. The next thing I always say is don't assume that clients are going to leave reviews. You really want to ask for reviews. You never want to assume that they're going to think to log into Google a week after you've provided service for them and write a review for them. So you really do have to actively ask for reviews. I say to make sure you're asking for new reviews at least once a year. If you did this once 5 years ago and all of your reviews are really great, but they're 5 years old, they're not going to hold quite as much weight. So just get into the habit, whether you do it every 6 months or once a year, whatever you do, to make sure that all of your reviews on your listings are not old and outdated. Certainly the old ones still matter, but if people see only old ones, it's going to change their opinion a little bit. My suggestion for when you're first getting reviews is to just think about asking for reviews right after you complete service with someone. This is when they're happy, you just got them the service that they needed, you just helped them out, and your store is still top of mind, so they're a lot more likely to complete that review for you. And at this time, I just want to kind of point out, in case you haven't heard, that Build Your Firm recently started offering a new service called Content Marketing in a Box. This service takes care of all of the local search items we just discussed, except for the actively asking for reviews, since that's direct to your clients. But we do all of these things for you. If you're interested in sort of outsourcing this, I'll put a link up here if you want to take a little bit, a little peek at it a little bit more. It's websites.buildyourfirm.com/content-marketing. But we would set up your business on Google. We would set it up on Yelp. We'd make sure you got pushed out to local Moz. We'd assist with you in getting reviews, meaning you could have some coaching sessions about how to get reviews. We'd get a leave us a review page on your website to make it a little bit quicker. But we'd do a lot of stuff here. And then beyond just that, we also do some content marketing stuff as well, which has to do with pushing things out to social media and just setting up a blog for you as well. So I just wanted to throw that out there. We've had clients asking if we provide this service for a lot of years, and we finally do. We just sort of announced it last month, so I wanted to make sure you guys knew that that was available. But at this point, what I want to do is sort of move over to your questions. I've been seeing some come in and as I've been chatting, so I'm going to pop over there and see what questions you guys have. And as you think of anything, just let me know. You can pop them in there, and we'll sort of get through them. So the first thing I see is a question about a domain and how to know if your domain is set up for 3 years. So the best way to do it, if you own your domain, the best way to do it is to simply log into your domain provider and check. So if you own your domain through GoDaddy, you can log in and it'll tell you when your domain is set to expire. If you're not sure if you own your domain or not, the easiest way to do it is to go to a website called who.is. So it's actually who, like WHO.is. You can type your domain in there. It'll let you know when your domain's set to expire. And it'll also let you know where your domain is purchased through. If you're still not really sure, you can email one of these phone numbers you see here. Either email me, that's me at the top, email support, get somebody on the web team, and we can let you know if we own your domain or not. And if you own it, we can let you know where you own it through, so that you can contact them and make sure you're set up for at least 3 years or auto renew, however you want to do it. Next question is about having a niche. So if you have a niche such as maybe accounting for veterinarians, would you come up high if someone was to look for it nationally? So that's a good question. When it comes to niche, if you have a website that's specifically about that, it probably won't be super effective. It's just a single page on your website. But if you have a niche website with us that's specific to something, you certainly can go wider with your geo. It's hard to know if you could go fully national. It'd have to be a very specific niche with not a lot of competition. Typically, we find with niches that are, maybe construction accounting or transportation accounting, you can go much wider to either the entire state, if it's a smaller state like Connecticut or Ohio, or you could go to a much more regional area. If you're in California, you could hit up all of South California. So yes, when you are in a niche accounting industry, you can definitely cast your net a little bit wider with your geo. Nationally is probably a little bit optimistic unless it's a very, very specific niche. Next question is, are we suggesting that you sign up for the Moz.com? So I do suggest, especially if your business is new, you recently moved, you have inconsistencies in any of your local listings, that you consider signing up for Moz Local. Moz Local sells a couple of service plan options. They have, I think they split up into maybe 3 recently. You need the lowest one, you don't need to get the highest one, and you only need to do it for 1 year. What it's going to do, like I said, is it's going to take all of that information from your Google business account and from your Yelp, and it's going to push it out to all of those other data aggregators. And not only is it going to push the information out, which obviously is going to get your information out to more places, it's going to elevate your presence online, but it's going to make sure that your information is consistent. So we always suggest that our clients do this when their business is new, or if you've recently moved or changed anything. If you changed a phone number, business name, any of that. Next question, what if clients are not already on Yelp or Google? How do you get them to sign in and leave a review? That's a good question. They do need to have an account. So in order to leave a review on Google Business, you do have to have a Google account. In order to leave a review on Yelp, you do need to have a Yelp account. We tend to find that clients, not that our clients, but that our clients' clients tend to have one or the other. To have a Google account is a lot of things. They may have a Gmail account. They may have a YouTube account. They may have signed up for blogger.com at some point. Most people tend to have some type of Google account, whether they realize it or not. And then there are people who have Yelp as well, but they do have to have one in order to leave the review. And, occasionally you will run into people who just don't have any. And at that point, if they're willing to take a testimonial, you could certainly take it to put on your website. But they do need to have an account to leave on Yelp or Google. See a question about Yext over Moz. I'm only slightly familiar with Yext, and I think that what it does is a little bit different. I feel like maybe there's pieces of it that are different exactly to what Moz does, but I don't want to speak to it too much because I'm not super familiar with everything that it provides. I'm happy to look into it a little bit more if you want me to. But what Moz does specifically is, I think they have more services beyond that, but the local Moz portion of what it does specifically is pushes that information out to all of the data aggregators. I think Yext does some of that. I don't know if it does all of them. It may stick to just some of the primary ones and doesn't do all of the other ones. So I'm sure there's differences between the two, and I'm happy to sort of look into that, Ryan, and I can shoot you an email maybe a little later after this call and let you know what I find in the differences of the two. I see a question about what is an SSL and does it impact my SEO? So we've been getting this question a lot recently about what SSLs are and how they relate to SEO because there's been a lot of just sort of chatter about them. So an SSL is a certificate that you install on, I'm going to get sort of techie here. It's a certificate that you install into the server that your website is hosted on. So you can get one of those through us, and what it does is it gives you a website that's, instead of being HTTP, www, it's an HTTPS, and the S essentially stands for secure. I'll shoot you guys a PDF after this webinar in my little follow-up with a PDF that explains a little bit more about what that means, what that security level means. As far as does it impact your SEO, in the future it may be something that starts to impact SEO. For right now, inside of your industry and the type of websites that you have, I wouldn't, be worrying about it a lot, but it's probably something to think about in the future. It probably will start to make a difference because, like I said, the whole point with search engines is they want to send their searchers to the best sites. So they're definitely looking towards the future and thinking about sending their users to the most secure sites that they can. And so that's sort of where SSLs and that security certificate sort of starts to come into play a little bit. I see a question about is my website responsive? Just to sort of clarify what a responsive website is. A responsive website, you've probably heard it thrown around. It means that your website um, can be read on all devices. So there's websites that are mobile friendly, meaning they can show up on a desktop and then they can show up on mobile devices. Responsive websites are a little bit different because it means that they can display on any device. So if you're on a big screen, you're on a laptop, you're on an iPhone, you're on, a little Apple Watch nowadays. People, open websites on all sorts of things. And the website will actually respond to the device that it's on and display properly. So your website is responsive, assuming that you either got your website with us or you got a redesign of your website within, I would say, probably the last 4 years or so. If you're not totally sure, you can double check with me. You can shoot me an email. When responsive sort of came out, we did email all of our clients and invite you to get new responsive layouts, and most of you have, but there are a few of you who are still in non-responsive. But if you are in the non-responsive, you're still okay because you do have a mobile version of your phone, so your website will still show up on phone, cell phones. But responsive is really a great place to be because nowadays with all the different devices, it doesn't matter what size screen somebody is on, your website's going to look great. So I think that is all the questions. I'm going to double check here and make sure I didn't miss any questions from you guys. So hang on one second here. All right, it looks like that is all of them. Those were some great questions. I really appreciate you guys. I really appreciate you guys asking just any questions that you have. Don't hesitate to shoot me an email after this if you think of something later. Like I said, make sure you don't forget to download the handout that comes with this webinar. It goes over SEO and some of the things that we talked about today, but then also has those instructions for getting set up on Google Business as well as getting set up on Yelp. I will shoot you all an email maybe like in an hour or so with the PDF. I'll put in a copy of that handout so that you have it, as well as that PDF about the SSL certificate that I was talking about, so you can take a look at that. And like I mentioned, this session is being recorded, so I will be sending out the recorded version either today or tomorrow to everyone who attended, if you want to share it, but also to those people who couldn't make it. So thanks so much for taking a little time to chat with me today about SEO, about local search. You got my email if you think of anything after this. But yeah, I just appreciate you guys taking the time. I know it's sort of a crazy time right now with your tax extension, so I really do appreciate your time, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.